I am Dr. Sarah Swall of Resilience RX, and tonight, despite the technical difficulties, we are talking about shoulder pain and how to know if your shoulder pain is caused by the rotator cuff or some other causes. So to start off, the rotator cuff consists of 4 muscles that are located around the shoulder. They're mostly located on the back of the shoulder blade, but they're also located directly on the front of the shoulder blade. And dysfunction in these muscles causes pain typically right in through here, but it can also cause pain out and through here or pain up and through here. Sometimes you have pain where those muscles are located, but very commonly you don't. The 2 muscles that are implicated the most are called the infraspinatus and the supraspinatus. So the infraspinatus externally rotates your shoulder, so it brings it out. The supraspinatus helps do this portion of this movement, and the other muscles of the rotator cuff work together with those 2 muscles to stabilize this bone so that when you move your arm overhead, that bone moves down in the joint and allows your arm to go through that full range of motion. If you want the short version of that, the rotator cuff helps the shoulder joint move optimally to decrease stress on the joint. And when there is dysfunction there, you get pain here. Typically, there's also what we call a painful arc sign with rotator cuff, at least in the beginning stages of rotator cuff issues. So no pain here. Typically, pain starts around here, ends maybe somewhere up here, and then no pain for that last portion of the movement. If you like to exercise, you'll find typically that push-ups or like a bench press tend to be painful. That can be due to technical issues, but also can be due to the rotator cuff. Also, you'll typically find that pushing overhead or holding something far in front of you that's heavy can be uncomfortable as well. So those are the typical signs of rotator cuff pathology. Over these next 3 weeks, I'm going to take you through the 3-step process we use at Resilience RX in diagnosing and working with shoulder pain. So step 1, not that one. I'm very carefully balancing these. But step 1 is establish a clear diagnosis. So this you would think, well, obviously it's rotator cuff, right? Like, why do you need a clear diagnosis? The thing is, rotator cuff pain usually isn't just the rotator cuff. So the areas of the spine that innervate the rotator cuff are usually compromised as well. So the nerves that feed the rotator cuff are usually affected too. You can fix the rotator cuff, but if you don't fix those nerves, you're not solving the problem. You're just slapping a Band-Aid on it. Typically with rotator cuff pain, especially in those who likes to exercise or who do manual labor and work overhead a lot, the mid-back also has some issues. So in order to develop a clear diagnosis, we need to look at the neck, we need to look at the mid-back, and we need to look at the shoulder, and we need to treat all of those areas that are involved in order to get good results. Secondly, we put the fire out. So very simply, we get rid of pain. We make it feel better, right? That's what you want. That's what everyone wants. No one wants to go to physical therapy. You just want the outcome. That makes complete sense, and I totally understand that. So, very important, we get rid of the pain. Lastly, we develop resilience. This is partially where Resilience RX comes from. So, say we get you out of pain and we get you right back to where you started. That's great, right? You're out of pain. Sort of. You're out of pain, but you're right where you were when you got injured. You're not in a better spot, and odds are you're just as likely to get injured again, because the number 1 predictor of a future injury is a past injury. So in order to prevent that future injury from occurring, we need to get you beyond just pain-free. We need to develop resilience. We need to increase the strength and the robustness of that muscle, as well as your body as a whole, to prevent that injury from happening again. No one wants an injury that just keeps on reoccurring over and over and over. It gets better. You see someone and then it's good. It comes back. You see someone, it gets better. You're good. That's a pattern no one wants to be in, and that's a pattern that's very, very fixable with the right treatment. So develop resilience. I can talk tonight, I promise, is key, and that's the number 1 key to making sure things don't come back. So stay tuned the rest of this month for more fun information on the rotator cuff, and have a good night.